And basically, like, the whole idea that history should inspire you is really problematic. It's like, this is like the word that always comes up. Oh, this is problematic. So I got really frustrated with that and felt like this was kind of part of what was wrong, not just with the classics discipline, but like maybe something that was missing in Western culture in general. That, because these really are the foundations of Western civilization, and that matters. That actually means something. And when you take them out, like, weird stuff starts happening. So I left in the middle of the pandemic, in the middle of the zombie apocalypse, and tried to chart a different path.
I think that's a good time to do it. And I think that the thing I really wanted to hit on, which kind of opens up the conversation that I want to have with you today, is you mentioned kind of how these historical figures of the past, they inspire greatness, and they show us how we can take on difficult things. And there's two concepts that I really like. One is from Greek, and one is from Roman. And once again, I'll apologize for any of my mispronunciations. I always get all these comments and emails back from my audience about all of my terrible New Jersey pronunciations on things. But the concept from Latin of virtus, which is this idea of excellence and courage and character and manliness. And you have from Greek this concept called arete, which is this, idea of excellence, the fullest realization of potential, and really kind of getting to the best at what you can do. These are actually two things that are being hammered out of society now. And I think they're two really important concepts. So I guess when you look at that, how does that fit into the narrative of what you're seeing?
Yeah, well, so the Greeks and the Romans were a really important piece of the American founding, and this is reflected in the lives of a guy like George Washington, who is modeling himself after Cincinnatus and Cato the Younger.
Although George Washington did not want to be associated with the Society of Cincinnatus, he had back and forth relationship with them. But anyway, continue.
Yeah, it's always complicated, and he was not necessarily an avid reader, but he read enough to know what he liked, and he liked Cato. He liked Addison's Cato's famous play that he had staged at Valley Forge, and Hamilton too, another very important figure in the American founding, very interested in Julius Caesar, but in all the state founders at Valley Forge. Again, that terrible winter in the Revolutionary War, he's staying up late into the night reading Plutarch's Lives, this classic text that I'm sure we'll talk about it at length, because it's kind of what my podcast is based on. And so basically, they're looking at these texts because it's like common knowledge that if you want to be great, if you want to pursue a public life, that these texts are going to give you that. And the word for that, which they knew just matter of factly, was virtue, virtus. The translation, virtue is a translation of this Latin term, virtus, which is a translation, not a translation, but like an equivalent of this Greek concept being brought up, arete, which is excellence. And they mean kind of the same thing in Greek and Latin, more or less. And basically, both words are etymologically connected with the word for man. Vir in Latin, vir, virtus, arete, arane in Greek. And what you get from studying the lives of the great leaders of the past, especially the Greeks and Romans who kind of laid down the foundation, is this highest form of manliness, of public manliness. And it's something that you can get through reading a treatise on virtue, maybe like Plato's Republic, but above all, it's something you get kind of by osmosis, by being inspired by their stories, by listening to them, studying their lives, emulating them. And this is very much the classical understanding of like how you become great. Cicero, this great Roman statesman, talks about the surest shortcut to greatness is to associate yourselves with the great. Whether you do that in person by finding them, making their company, or by studying them in books in the past. Preferably both, but if you can't have the one, you can at least, everybody has access to the other. And often the studying the great leaders of the past will introduce you into friendship with the great men of the present who are kind of men of common interests.